In this video, I want to talk about using Google Forms as a formative assessment tool. We've used Google Forms a lot for different surveys, but you can also use the tool to create quizzes, and this adds some features. In this case, I have made a very simple formative assessment tool for students to see how well they can identify mammals as opposed to other animals. And I want to notice a couple of things about this form that may be different from forms that you've used in the past. And I'm just going to run through this really quick and show you some of those things. The first one is to notice that when a student is submitting the form, we are collecting their email address. And this is a very good way of positively identifying the student when they take the quiz. The other thing you might notice is that there is a point value that is associated with each one of these questions. We can also see that in this case, and this is especially useful for elementary students, we have added a picture to each one of our answer choices to help guide students towards making a choice. And then lastly, we've just added a big image here to one of our questions. Maybe it makes it easier for students to kind of think about the question that they're answering. So what I want to do next is jump into the back end of this quiz and show you a little bit about how I built it. So here we are on the editing screen for the quiz, sort of the back end. And I wanted to show you how I created the quiz that we just looked at. And the first thing I want to do is I want to go up to this gear over here by the send button and go ahead and click on it. And you have three choices here: general, presentation, and quizzes. And I've made some settings that have turned this into a quiz. The first thing I've done is I have restricted access to this quiz to Chapel Hill Carrboro City School users. So no one outside of Chapel Hill Carrboro City Schools can take this quiz. You have to be logged into your CHCCS account, which students will automatically be on their Chromebooks. The other thing that I've done, and this is important, is I have collected their email addresses. So when they go to the quiz, it will link to their account and it will know their email address. And once again, this is a very easy way to positively identify the student taking the quiz. And then another option you have is to limit each user to one response. And you may want to do that with a quiz just to make sure that your students don't take the quiz twice. And then I want to head over here to this quizzes tab. So I'm going to click on that. And to make this a quiz in the first place, I have to choose this slider. So just simply click on it, and then Google will recognize your form as a quiz, and it will give you some additional options. The first one is about releasing grades. So if this is a graded quiz, you can pick one of these options. And my quiz is pretty simple. So what I decided to do here was to immediately release the grade after each submission. And we'll take a look at how that works in a minute when I go ahead and take the quiz. But you can also choose to release grades after your manual review of the quiz. And if you have some open-ended answers on the quiz, say some things where students are typing in responses, you may want to use this option. And sending grades to respondents using this option does require that you collect the email address. So if we go back to that other setting in the general tab about collecting email addresses, you'll want to make sure that you have that on. We also get the choice about what respondents can see. And so I've picked that students can see the questions they missed. They can see the correct answer to a question if they missed it. And they can also see the point values that are assigned to each question. And then when I was done kind of configuring this the way I wanted it to be, I just clicked save. And so I'm going to cancel out of that for now. And then I want to go into the editing screen again and show you how I configured each question. So let's just pick the first one. There are more species of mammals than any other animal on Earth. And I'm just going to click right into that question. And you can see that I have a couple of things to configure here. And the first thing is the point value. And I can assign any point value I want to this quiz. You can either type that in here or you can use this. You can use these arrows to increase or decrease the value. Google also wants you to pick the correct answer so that it can know how to grade the quiz. And in this case, the answer is false. But most interesting about this is you can give some feedback to your students when they answer the question either correctly or incorrectly. So I am giving some positive feedback and a little bit of additional learning here when the student answers the question correctly. And so I'm typed up, yes, you're right. There are 4,000 species of mammals on Earth, but over 950,000 species of insects. And then, conversely, when the student answers the question incorrectly, I can say, sorry, there's only 4,000 species of animals and 950,000 species of insects. So you can provide that feedback when they get the grade. The other option here is, and this is very interesting, and I'm going to go to this pick 3 defining characteristics of mammals and click into that screen and go to the feedback section. And I've given sort of a positive, response when students pick the correct answer. And I've also noticed that I've misspelled mammal here. Sorry about that. But for incorrect answers, I'm saying, sorry, that is not a characteristic of a mammal, and please review the characteristics of mammals. And what I've been able to do is include a website link here where students can go and review the different characteristics of mammals so they can kind of increase their understanding and check their learning by looking at that website. So let's go ahead and take the quiz and see what the student sees when they're done. So here I am back on the live quiz. We can see my email address is being collected. And I'm going to go ahead and just very quickly take this. So let's see, this first question, there are more species of mammals. Yes, I'm going to say that that's true. Which of these animals is not a mammal? I'm going to go ahead and pick the snake. And then I'm going to pick 3 defining characteristics of mammals. So I'm going to say they have hair, they're cold-blooded, and they give live birth. And then are human beings mammals? Yeah, I think so. So I'm going to say true. And then I'm going to go as the student and submit the quiz. And what the student is going to get is this screen. And since I picked earlier to immediately release the grades of the quiz, they're going to get this little link to view their score. So I can click into it. And what that's going to that's going to give me this screen. And you remember some of those configuration options that we made. Well, this is where they're going to appear. So I can see that I got a total of 2 of 4 points on the quiz. So I missed 2 questions. And it's going to show me an X here that I missed this. And the correct answer is false. And then I get that little message about there being 4,000 species of animals, but 950,000 species of insects. So I can be like, oh, okay, more insects than mammals. I'm going to get a little green check for a question that I got right. And I can see I got 1 of 1 points here. And the correct answer is a snake. I'm going to get my little positive reinforcement. Good job. Snake's not a mammal. And then here you can see that I got this question wrong because I got one of the characteristics incorrect. You know, mammals are not cold-blooded. Here's the correct answer. And then we can see, sorry, that's not a characteristic of a mammal, this one here, that they're cold-blooded. And then I got that website link to go ahead and review the characteristics of animals. So a student could click that, and then this website will open up, and they can scroll down and look at the characteristics of mammals so they can increase their learning. And then I got this question correct. And that's really the basics of creating a Google form as a quiz for students. There's a lot more to it. In the next video, I want to show you how to actually connect this to your Google Classroom, and also how you can use spreadsheets to look at the data that students have given you when they've taken the quiz. So I hope you enjoyed.